Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Tieya Qualls and I am a licensed physical therapist. I specialize in pelvic floor physical therapy as well as orthopedic physical therapy. And in addition to that, I'm also a yoga instructor and also a birth doula. So one of my areas of expertise is yoga, so I'm going to highlight a flow for you all today that's related to my specialty area, which is the pelvic floor. What I wanted to do is make sure that this flow will basically encompass the three primary functions of the pelvic floor, which are the ability to contract or shorten, the ability to relax, and then the ability to lengthen. That's very important because if we only are able to do one or the other or none at all, then we may have issues with our bowels, our bladder, and our sexual function. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into today's flow. First, what you'll need for this flow, if you have some blocks, any type of blocks, you can use those. If you don't have blocks, you may want to use some thick books just to be able to use for bringing the floor or the mat up to you. You can use the yoga mat, obviously, or the floor if you feel comfortable doing your flow on the floor or carpet. And then also, you may want to use a blanket. We'll use this blanket for just padding our knees as well as lifting us up in our seat, which I'm going to do right now. So, I want you all to feel free to come to a comfortable position of your choice. This can be a seated position like myself, or you can lie on your back with something under your knees. Just get nice and cozy for just a moment. And we're going to start with some nice gentle breathing. First, I want to invite you all to close your eyes or soften your gaze looking down at your nose or toward the floor. And begin just to become aware of your natural breath. Try not to change anything up. Just become aware of how your natural breathing goes in and out, ebbs and flows. On your next breath, I'd like for you to begin deepening your natural breath, slowly inhaling a little deeper in through your nose, and then slowly exhaling out of your nose or your mouth if that's more comfortable. Let's continue that for a few rounds. Now, on your next breath, we're going to get a little bit deeper and we're going to focus our attention on breathing into our belly. The reason why we want to breathe into the belly is because we want to use our belly breath to help to lengthen our pelvic floor muscles. Our belly and our pelvic floor are closely connected, as well as the respiratory diaphragm. So we want to make sure that we're able to expand those areas nice and gently so that the pelvic floor can learn how to lengthen, let go, and relax. So on your next breath, as you take an inhale in, I'd like for you to begin to let your belly just slowly push out or up. And then as you exhale, let your belly return to its natural position. Again, inhale, allow that belly to rise or expand. Exhale, allow the belly to return. Continue that for a few more rounds. As you continue this breathing pattern, I'd like for you to just bring your awareness to your pelvic floor. And I know for some that probably is a little confusing. So we're going to use a visualization to help with that. What I'd like for you to envision is that there's a light at the center of your chest. And with each inhale, that light is traveling downward, past the belly, into the seat, into the pelvic floor, and it's allowing that pelvic floor to stretch and expand. As you exhale, that light will slowly travel right back up the way in which it came until it reaches your heart center. Let's continue inhaling, allowing that light to travel down, all the way down until it reaches your pelvic floor. and allow it to stretch the pelvic floor tissues. Exhale, allow that light to slowly return back all the way up until it reaches heart center. And as your light travels back to its starting point, your pelvic floor will also return to its starting point, which is a more relaxed state. 2 more times. Inhale. Envision that light traveling down, allowing the belly to relax, allowing the pelvic floor to expand. Exhale. Everything returns to its starting position. Last time. Inhale. Belly will begin to slowly expand while the light travels down, stretching that pelvic floor, opening things up, and then allowing the light to return all the way to heart center as your pelvic floor returns to neutral as well. Good. Now, at this time, we're going to go ahead and prepare to come to a seated position if you have not already. If crossing your legs like this is not comfortable, feel free to extend your legs out in front of you, just making sure that you have comfort in your knees. You can also go into a kneeling position if you like, if that feels comfortable for you as well. Whatever works best for you. If you were already seated in this cross-legged position, let's switch the crossing of our legs to make sure that we don't put too much strain on our joints. Now, if your eyes are closed, begin to flutter them open. And on your next inhale, we're going to inhale, sweep those arms up and overhead. Exhale, we're going to allow the palms to float down, coming all the way down to the mat. Again, inhale, sweeping those arms up, allowing the palms to come all the way together and touch. And exhale, allowing those palms to come down. On your next inhale, we're going to sweep those arms all the way up. This time, they're just going to face each other. And as we exhale, we're going to open our palms out and bend our elbows into cactus arms as we gently lift our chest, head comes back. Exhale, allow the palms to face each other, arms up, and then palms float down to the mat. Again, inhale, sweeping those arms up. Open the palms up, opening up the elbows, bending, opening up the chest, feeling that stretch to the front body. Now allowing those arms to straighten and then floating those palms down. On this next inhale, we're going to sweep those arms all the way up and overhead. And this time, we're going to take our right hand and allow it to float down to the right side of our mat, while our left hand is going to extend up and overhead. This is going to get us into that side body, so feel free to gently begin bending over towards your right side, making sure that you keep your sit bones nice and grounded. Try not to let the hips come up off of the mat. Now, for some people, if this is difficult for you to do without lifting up, you may want to bring the mat up to you. This is where a block could be handy. You can place your hand on the block and extend that left arm over so that you're not reaching too far over to your right. When you're here, allow that chest to open, and if you want, take your gaze up toward the ceiling if that's comfortable for your neck. If it's not, feel free to keep your gaze forward. Take one more breath here. And as you exhale, allow that left hand to come all the way down to meet the mat. Move that block out the way. We're going to inhale, sweep our arms up overhead again. This time we're going to allow our left palm to come down to meet the mat. And our right hand is going to come up and over, giving us a nice side bend, side body stretch along our right side. Opening up that torso, keeping our sit bones grounded. And breathing in slowly through our nose. Exhaling out. Remembering that that breath helps to get blood flow and oxygen to our muscle tissues, providing nutrients that it needs. Good. And now bring that right hand all the way down. And we're going to inhale, we're going to sweep our arms up and overhead. And this time we're going to go into a gentle twist to our right side. Allow your right hand to drop behind you, using it as a kickstand, while your left palm comes to your right knee. Now in this position, we're going to start first in a little gentle twist, trying to crank or force your body. Your gaze is going to be probably off to the side of your body. You're going to inhale, lifting that chest up, sitting up tall, nice and proud. Exhale. See if your exhale gives you a little bit more rotation. For some people it will, and for others it will not. But please don't hurt yourself by trying to force the twist. Again, inhale in. Exhale, allow your body to twist a little bit more if it does so naturally. Let's take one more breath here. Inhale. Exhale and gently twist. You may even see that you can look over your shoulder. And we're going to slowly release. From here, we're going to inhale, sweep those arms up and overhead. Exhale, we're going to twist to our left side, taking our left arm behind us this time, allowing our left hand to be used as a kickstand. Right hand is going to land on our left thigh, and we're going to sit up nice and tall, proud through the chest. Taking a breath in. Exhale, see if you have any twist off to the left side. Again, breathing in through the nose. Exhaling, allowing yourself to twist over to the right. Over to the left. One more time. Inhale in. Exhale, and if you have anything left to give, see if you can go a little bit deeper, but only if it honors your body. Good, and we're going to release back to neutral. Now from here, we're going to prepare to change positions and come into a tabletop position. So what that means is you're going to come into your hands and knees. Now, in this position, it can be a little cranky on the knees, so you may want to use your blanket if you have it. If you don't have a blanket, you can use a roll up your mat, or you can use another soft cushiony surface. And from here, you're going to make sure that you place your knees directly under your hips. I'm going to turn this way briefly so you can see. You want your knees directly under your hips, and when you come forward, you want your palms directly under your shoulders. Sometimes when I'm wanting to make sure I'm aligned well, I'll place my fist on the inside of the inner thighs to make sure that they meet up with the inner thighs. That gives me just the right amount of space. Now, from here, palms are underneath shoulders, knees are under hips. Spread your fingers nice and wide to create a great base of support. You want to then extend through the elbows and gently turn those elbow creases forward. Don't allow the elbows to dip out like that. You also want to make sure you're using your whole body. So we're going to use our core. One thing that is important for a healthy pelvic floor is healthy core muscles. So make sure you gently lift up, giving your belly button a little squeeze. Push down through the hands, making sure you get a nice, strong shoulder blades pulling together. And then from here, we're going to jump into some cat-cows. So down, you're going to inhale, drop the belly, the head will come up. Exhale, round the back, head will come down. Again, inhale, dropping the belly, feeling that stretch of the front body, head is up, gaze is up. Exhale, rounding that back, head comes down. Now here, let's keep doing this for a few rounds on your own. And in this position, feel free to venture off the railroad tracks. If you feel like you need some additional movement in this position, you can definitely do so. You don't have to just go in straight planes. Feel free to maybe turn your hips one way, turn your hips the other way. Feel where you may need a little bit more tension, a little bit more TLC. Maybe you even want to rock back. Just making sure you feel what your body is telling you and that you honor it, knowing that this is your flow. Now, from here, we're going to come into stillness and we're going to prepare for a child's pose. So we're going to bring our knees to the width of the mat. Our toes are going to come together. And gently, we're going to shift our hips back, allowing our hips to melt into our heels. Now, if it's available to you, you can extend your arms out overhead and then allow your forehead to come down to the mat. If that's difficult for you, maybe you don't have the range of motion yet, you can take a block and you can place a block under your forehead, a book, a blanket, anything that is cushiony and soft to you or comfortable for you. Also, in this child's pose position, you can also take your blanket and place it under your knees in case that deep bend is not comfortable for you as well. Just all depends on what is important for your body and what helps your joints as you flow. Now, in this position, let's continue to breathe. We're going to breathe into our back, into our pelvic floor, feeling how our pelvic floor releases and stretches in this position. This is great for bringing awareness to the pelvic floor, and it also helps us to learn how to let go, giving us a gentle stretch into our seat. Anytime throughout this flow, if you feel like you need to take a moment of pause, feel free to come back to your child's pose at any time. One more breath here. Now, we're going to come back up to our tabletop as we continue our flow. We're going to be on our hands and knees for a little bit, so again, pad your knees if you need to. Coming into our tabletop position, we're going to prepare for a little core work. As I mentioned before, the core is one of those areas that can get neglected for some, but it's very important for a healthy pelvic floor. The core and the hip muscles, they support the pelvic floor. So when those muscles are weaker, the pelvic floor muscles sometimes will grip a little tighter or not function properly. So we want to make sure that we're working all three groups together as a team. All right, we're going to inhale. We're going to extend our right foot back behind us, keeping the toes down. In this position, I want you to bring awareness to your core, bringing that belly button up to spine, and then even bringing awareness to your bottom. Gently squeezing the bottom, pushing down through your hands, squeezing your shoulder blades together, your gaze is down. Here, you're probably working pretty hard if you haven't done this before, and if you have, it's just more of a warm-up, and that's totally fine. Now we're going to exhale, bringing that knee back underneath. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, sweep the left toes behind us, extending that left leg out, keeping the toes down, remembering to keep awareness in our core and also into our glutes. And then bending that knee comes underneath hips. We're going to now return back to that right side. Extend that leg right behind. And if this position was okay for you, feel free to stay here. If you like a little bit more, feel free to lift the toes up off the mat. Your body's going to want to go over to the side that has support. Your job is to use your core to center you in the middle. Good. Now bring that knee down. Extend the left leg behind you. Again, if this feels good, stay here. But if you want more, lift that left leg up. Just testing the waters. And then bring that leg down. This time we're going to go into a full balancing table or bird dog, as some like to call it. We're going to extend the right toes back. Lift right toes up. Connect and balance. And if you're ready, if you want to go a little deeper, extend the left hand forward. Your palm is facing in as if you're shaking someone's hand and you're squeezing that core nice and tight. One more breath here. Lower that leg down. Now, we're going to stay on this side. So, what we're going to do now, we're going to extend the right leg back, lift the right leg up, and from there, we're going to bend the right knee, keeping the toes pointed as we go into our glutes a little bit deeper. And we're going to lift up 1 and 2 and 3 and then lower down. We're going to go into a child's pose just briefly to take the pressure off our wrists. And then coming back up, we're going to do that same sequence on our left side. Inhale, extend left toes back. Lift left toes up if you'd like to go deeper. And if you'd like to go even further, right hand comes out, balancing, engaging core, keeping nice and steady. You may find that one side is a little bit more challenging than the other, and that's totally fine. One more breath here, and then down. We're going to stay here just like we did on the other side, and extend that left leg back, lift those left toes up, bend at the left knee, and when you're ready, we're going to do 3 pulses. 1, 2, 3, lower down. Bring those knees wide, drop back, child's pose. Now, we're going to come back up to tabletop briefly and then shift ourselves over into our seat. So, what we're going to do now, we're going to come into some seated postures that are very, very helpful for lengthening the pelvic floor. So, what I'd like for you all to do, we're going to bring our feet about hip distance. And what we'll do first, we're going to extend the left foot out, bring those left toes back toward our shins. We're going to take the right ankle, placing it over the left thigh. Now, what will be helpful is if you use your arms behind you ever so slightly as a kickstand. Now, for some people, you may be already feeling a little stretch in this right hip just by doing this position. But for others, you may want to go a little bit deeper. So if that's you, feel free to bend into that left knee, shifting hips forward, and you're going to feel a little bit more into that right hip. We're getting into those hip external rotators as we stretch them out, taking a nice breath in, exhaling out. Now, if you'd like to deepen this stretch a little bit, we're going to just rock side to side. So we're going to just take our right foot over and then bring it on back. Keep breathing as you take that right foot over, tap, bring it on back. Then this time we're going to take it over and we're just going to keep that hip right there connected to our mat, breathing in, exhaling out, and then shifting up where we started. We're going to repeat that on the other side, so we're going to come out the way we came in. So let's go ahead and extend the left leg out, followed by the right. Feel free to adjust or shake things out. And now we're going to go ahead and now bend into our right knee this time. Actually, sorry. We're going to take our left ankle, put it over our right thigh. And then if you'd like to go a little bit further on this side, we're going to bend into our right knee, feeling our left hip external rotators. Now, one side may be tighter than the other, and that's totally fine. This is my tighter side, and so I'm feeling it a little bit more. So honor your body. If this is too deep of a bend, you can always bend in less of a range of motion. Remembering that using your arms to sit you up nice and tall, breathing in, exhaling out. Good. And now we're going to gently rock over to the side the same way we did on our right. Tap down. Moving very slow with control, honoring your bodies, no rush. One more time as we hold here for a brief moment. Breathing in, exhaling out. One more breath. Exhale. We're going to come all the way back up. And again, we're going to come out the way we came in. So extend that leg down. And then let the left leg meet the right. Now, from here, we're going to get into some windshield wipers. We're going to bend each knee up. So we're now hip distance apart. But we're going to step our feet out a little bit wider than hip distance. The arms will still be used as kickstands, giving us some support behind. And what I want us to do, we're going to gently move our left knee down toward the mat, whatever your range is. Don't feel like you have to touch the mat if that's not available to you. Your right knee will stay up. And now we're going to alternate and drop the right knee this time. As we get into these hip rotators, we're going to be helping with mostly the joint and the soft tissue mobility. And this is important. For those of you all who may be expecting, this can be a great mobility exercise to help with preparation for labor and delivery. Remember to honor where you are. If you're having a little tightness and tension through the hips or the torso, you may not be able to go that far, and that's totally okay. We're going to do one more just like this, and then we're going to maybe deepen it a little bit depending on where you are. Now, this time, if you like to go a little deeper, take both knees over to your right and just hold there for just a brief moment. Allowing your hands to prop you up, you're going to sit up nice and tall, and you're going to take your left arm up and overhead as you twist through the torso. Exhale. Drop that shoulder, remembering it's a whole body experience. Inhale. Now exhale, drop that left arm down. As the left arm drops down, we're going to allow the knees to now shift over to our left side. And we're going to follow through the same way we did on the right side. Remembering to breathe. Knowing that as we go through this twist, this is going to be great to help with giving us some length through our belly, through our side body, through our back, which are all connected to our pelvic floor, as I mentioned before. All right, now we're going to try one more thing. We're going to go back to our core again and see if we can go even deeper. So, stabilize through your legs. Take your left arm up overhead. Now, engage your core ever so slightly, pressing down through your back hand. See if you can lift up into your knees, if that's available and comfortable for you, using your core, and then coming down slowly with control as we repeat that same movement on the opposite side. Remembering that muscles need both length and strength, not just one or the other. Good. All right, bringing those knees right back up. Now, we're going to make our way down to, actually, we're going to come into a seated stretch for our adductor muscles. Our adductors get very tight. They connect to our pelvic floor. So we want to make sure we're stretching them out. So we're going to come into Baddha Konasana or bound angle, also known as a butterfly stretch. So here in bound angle, if you have that blanket, this will be a good time to prop it up under your buns just to help sit you up a little bit more. And what I like to suggest is if you have blocks, any height, whatever works for you, feel free to use your blocks to set your outer thighs atop. The reason why this is helpful is because when we're doing a stretch for these inner thigh muscles, we want to make sure that we're lengthening them without overworking them or overly stretching them. Sometimes when we don't have that support, the knees just flop out. It puts a lot of strain here on the muscle, on the tendon that attaches to the bone, and that can cause injury. If big blocks like this are too much, you can always use something a little smaller. You can use something softer as well. Some blankets, some rolled up washcloths or hand towels. Now, in this position, we're going to sit up nice and tall. Allow our legs to rest on any surface that you'd like. And from here, we're going to sit up and lift our chest ever so slightly. And then exhale as we gently just round a little bit through our chest, allowing our head to fall. Here we're going to get in the back of that neck. Again, breathing, opening up that chest. And then rounding, allowing the head to fall. Coming up to a nice tall seat, we're going to inhale, take those arms up and overhead. And this time we're going to try to just hinge from our waist, coming about half the distance. We're not folding just yet, we're just testing the waters. And then bring ourselves back. Again, inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge about halfway. And then coming on back. One more time, inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge. This time, pausing here halfway. If it's available to you and if you're ready, you're going to let those arms come down to meet the floor. They can also cradle your toes. If it's difficult for you to do that and you have some blocks or a pillow, you can put the blocks in front of you and let your hands rest on top of those. Now, the final thing to do would be to let that head drop down. Feeling that stretch through your back, feeling that stretch through your inner thighs. If you like, you can even take the elbows and gently allow the elbows to press out into the knees. Whatever feels good to you. Let's take a couple more breaths here. Okay, slowly we're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time. And now we're going to make our way down to our back. Now, here you may want to have a little something under your knees, so you can place a blanket under your knees, you can put a bolster under your knees, or you can go without anything. It's totally fine. Same thing with your head. If you want some support under your head, feel free. So we're going to slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. And when you're ready, you're going to extend one leg out, followed by the other. For some people, this can be cranky on the back. So if you need to bend into your knees, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we're going to take our right knee, draw it into our chest. And we're just going to hug this right knee in, breathing in, exhaling out. Again, inhale, exhale, lowering down that right leg, we're going to then come into our left side. Breathing in, exhaling out. Keeping this left knee in, we're going to allow our right knee to join it as we come into wind relieving pose. And we can hug around our shins and just gently rock side to side. Enjoying a nice massage for your spine. In this position, we're getting into our back, into our glutes a little, which is very good for, again, relaxing that pelvic floor, relaxing the fascia around our back and our pelvic floor. All right, we're going to come into stillness. And from here, we're going to go ahead and drop our knees open, and we're going to prepare for happy baby. Now, in happy baby, you can do it a couple ways. If you'd like, and if you have it in your practice, you can actually bring your hands on the outside of your feet, and you can then gently lift the feet, the soles of the feet up toward the ceiling, and relaxing through your upper traps and your shoulders. Don't let the shoulders be up at your ears. Relax them down. And you can gently rock side to side. If this is a little bit difficult, you can also grasp around the lower ankles or even outside of the knees or underneath. Find a position that works for you. We're going to just stay here for a couple of breaths, opening up through our pelvic floor, lengthening that pelvic floor. A position like this helps us to gain more awareness of our pelvic floor since we're in a more open position. And this is a great position to release tension for those of you all who may have any kind of pelvic pain, difficulty with releasing your bowels, releasing your bladder. This could be a good way to release some of the tension in the pelvic floor. All right, we're going to come into stillness. We're going to then allow our knees to come back together briefly, dropping those feet down toward the mat. And we're going to prepare for our final resting posture, Savasana. Slowly with control, allow your legs to extend all the way out. And at this time, I invite you to gently close your eyes or soften your gaze downward. We're going to take a few moments here just to settle the body as we begin to prepare to close. At this time, I invite you to place your palms downward onto any part of your body or onto your mat to promote grounding, stability, relaxation. If you'd like something under your knees, feel free to put a blanket or bolster underneath the knees. At this time, I invite you to become aware of your breath like we did in the beginning. And just slowly deepen that breath, allowing the breath to help settle the body. We're going to go through a body scan to help soften areas that may be holding a little tension. Bring your awareness to the top of your head, your scalp. And if there's any tension in the scalp at the top of your head, see if you can soften it ever so slightly. Bring your awareness to the space between your eyebrows and your forehead. If your eyebrows are crinkled, feel free to let them go. Relax that tension there. Let the eyes soften. Bring your awareness to the inside of your mouth, to your tongue, and see if you can let the tongue just relax. Take it away from the roof of the mouth. Bring awareness to your jaw and see if you can release the teeth. If they're clenched together, just let them go. Bring awareness to your neck and your shoulders. And if there's any way to soften even 5% more, see if you can do so, letting that tension go. Bring awareness to your belly. And if you're clenching your tummy, holding it tight, see if you can let your tummy go. Just let it flop. Bring awareness to your glutes or your bottom, your pelvic floor. And if you're holding any tension there, if it feels like you're holding or clenching there, See if you can let that go. Bring awareness to your quadriceps or thigh muscles, to your calves. And again, if it's any tension in those areas, see if you can let it go. A softening ever so gently. And finally, if you're holding tension in your toes and your ankles, the bottoms of your feet, see if you can just soften and allow them to flop out, giving them a moment to pause and release. Continuing with your natural relaxed breath, I'm going to go silent for just a few moments, just to allow you some time to reflect and soften the body. But please know that I'm here holding the space for you, and I will let you know when it's time to return. At this time, begin bringing awareness back to your body by slowly wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Feel free to make circles or move the ankles, the wrists. When you're ready, bend into your knees. See if you can just shift the knees side to side, loosening up the low back. And then when you're ready, we're going to turn to our side into a fetal position. And we're just going to pause here for just a moment, allowing ourselves one final rest. Take a breath here. Exhale out. And when you're ready, you're going to press up, coming to your seated position. If your eyes are closed, begin to slowly flutter them open. We're going to prepare to close out our practice. We're going to all together take one final inhale in, bringing those arms up overhead, allowing our palms to touch. Exhale as our palms come down to our heart center. And I want to say I thank you for letting me flow with you. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Peace to everyone. I hope you enjoyed this flow. Feel free to follow us, like, or subscribe as we begin to put more content related to yoga, physical therapy, pelvic floor PT, as well as birth doula and birth support services. Follow us on all platforms at Quality Touch PT.